to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Yes, welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, episode 322. And we've actually got some Oilers news to discuss on this episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by our great partners at Coolbet. If you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, you can now go and bet on when the Elks will win their first home game. That's available at coolbet.com. There's actually the second best odds are will not win home
next
game.
Year.
So yeah, it's tough. It's a little bit of a tough look, but we'll get to it. Oilers making big changes, obviously, or additions. We'll certainly get into that. But you guys are in a golf event yesterday at the ranch, which I couldn't make it to, but the buzz for Edmonton Sports Talk, which Two Guys and a Goalie will obviously be a part of. Hearing good things, boys, or what?
Cass can tell his story first. It's great.
Which great story.
I don't think Cass had the story.
I didn't have, no. But I have had. I have had.
Well, no one talks to Cass about it, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, listen. No. I've had a lot of people, and we're at, Gage and I were both at a golf tournament yesterday, and had probably 5 or 6 people come up and just share how pumped they were about being able to have a morning show, streaming, listening live. Dusty, to have you back on, and Lieutenant Eric, and to actually get some sports content live listening in the city of Edmonton. People are pretty fired up. So a lot of questions people are asking, and I say, well, the information's coming out. It's going to keep coming out. But we're all really excited. I'm pumped about it. It will be nice to have it on in the vehicle and listening again and listening live. I mean, I love podcasts. I love listening to podcasts, but there's just something about having it live and being able to have content where it's just like as things are happening and people interacting.
We had to have the listen live aspect of it. Watching on YouTube will be great. There'll be the YouTube chat. It'll be awesome. But to be able to get in your car and just push one button and listen live to it and have a text line and stuff, I feel like that had to happen. So we're going to make that happen. But Gager, it should be good, eh?
Oh, dude, I think what you're doing is, I don't know who you're talking to about this whole promotional thing, Dusty, but it's brilliant. You're getting people walking into the office thinking they're part of everything. Bashers want to come party there. Don't do that. That would be a huge
I won't
mistake.
do that. I don't think my insurance would allow that, to be honest with you.
But it's great. I mean, like I said before, even this morning, a guy dropping his kid off at the little daycare. I'm walking my dog in the mean streets of Terwilliger here, and he yells Gager, and I'm like, oh my God, hello, hi, how's it going? And he goes, oh man, 1260. My car it's quiet. I can't wait till September when it comes back. And he was pumped, and he can't wait to hear it. And he's, what's it gonna be like? And I just said, oh man, this is Dusty and Eric unleashed, buddy. This is gonna be just great. So good for you, Dusty. I'm glad it's coming back. I can't wait to get mad at people, what they say, and be swearing in my house again from the hours of 6 to 9 in the morning.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Today would have been a good day. With the news breaking earlier this morning that the Edmonton Oilers have added a CEO of hockey operations. I will say this. The organization's starting to run out of titles. They've got titles for everybody in every different aspect, but now they've filled the role of CEO of hockey operations, bringing Connor McDavid's longtime agent. I remember meeting Jeff at the draft in 2015 when they selected him. So Cass, everybody has great things to say about him. Obviously, if you want to keep Connor McDavid around long term, one of the best things to do would be to hire the guy who's like manufactured his career with him. So seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it, Matt?
Well, that I mean, is that the number one thing that they thought here, to say, let's think a couple of years out here and plan this through. And if, Ken Holland probably not going to be there in 3 or 4 years. He's gonna retire at some point. And how do we sink our claws into Connor McDavid even more to create loyalty and inspire him to stay with the organization? Well, you just did it. Now, with that being said, it's not like Jackson doesn't have experience. I mean, he's not coming into the role as someone that has never done anything like this. I mean, he's been involved in the game. He's worked in management positions inside some good organizations. He's got a ton of experience in working with players and running a business. So it's not like this was only done for that. But build some of that loyalty of your best people here. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, oh, they're really trying to make sure Connor resigns here in a couple of years.
Gager, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the only other way to go would have been to hire Connor's brother. Like, he's in business management too, right? So maybe that's on his next deal. We'll see Connor's brother get signed as. But no, I like CEOs that have had, like in this case, where the Oilers are on the cusp of doing something special. They get someone with a little bit of experience and a guy that's played in the NHL before, right? I think he played for the Nordiques. I read a while ago. So you have a guy that has that experience of being in the league as well and knows what it's all about. So, and look, if they can get Connor done and to another longer term deal, and this works out perfect, because if Connor stays, I think we see 29 staying as well.
I think that's how it's all linked, right, Cass? I mean, if I like, do you think this actually? I mean, and they would have just have casual conversations. Not like this has to happen or thing, but do you think it ever came up with Connor, like, hey, how can we lock you in long term? And he said, yeah, my man Jeff, he's valid. Like, I'm not saying he's certainly qualified for it. We laid it all out. He's been a GM of an AHL team. He was with the Maple Leafs for multiple years. Started up his company with Sam Gagner as his first client and built it into, obviously. So I mean, he's certainly qualified for it. But do you think that's actually something that happens? Because I think McDavid carries that swag, and I don't even have an issue with it. Like, that's just what you do for superstar players.
I think he does, but I don't think this would have been prompted by McDavid.
No. Yeah, I guess that would have been my question.
Why would you
this have been prompted by?
Yeah, why would you, if you're Connor McDavid, not like you're upset about it, but it's like, if this has been your agent for a long time, a guy that you've had a relationship with for a long time, that has helped you build your career and helps you do everything you've done, why would you be like, hey, tell the team that you should bring him over to this position? Now, what may have happened is they may have been thinking through and approach McDavid and say, hey, like, we've been looking at Jackson for this, like, would he be a good fit, or how would that make you feel? Like, they may have asked for perspective on it. That wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think it was prompted by Connor where he said, oh, I want this guy to step into this position. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't think this would have been McDavid driven. Now,
like,
it might
who
be
initiated it? You're saying McDavid probably didn't initiate it, but would be fine with it. Like, yeah,
maybe approved it. Maybe he had to rubber stamp it. Maybe, but
yeah, I
don't know.
Gager, how do you think this came about, buddy?
I always wonder, like, did they really reach out to Connor and ask him for permission? Not, I guess permission's a bad word, but his view on certain moves in the front office. I mean, yeah, I guess I think it would be kind of
that. He's extremely important to this franchise for the next 10 years, right? Like,
well, yeah, I guess. I mean, there's a surprise factor too, I think, a little bit, and you probably heard rumblings of it, maybe. But to have someone that's that familiar from a young age, there's a comfy blanket kind of thing going there with McDavid over the next few years and looking to the future. So, yeah, I don't have any problems. I think it's a great move.
I think it's interesting because Paul Coffey, who has been an Oilers special advisor to Daryl Katz for more than a year and has been integral to bringing Jeff to this position, will also assist Jackson in his new role for the organization as well. So maybe more of a little bit of an official role for Paul Coffey. And I wonder if there's a larger role for Paul Coffey somewhere in the future with the organization as well. I think you can kind of link the two. Hey, Cass?
Yep. I mean, yeah. How can you not? I mean, he's certainly going to start to take on a more role, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if Coffey spent some time now in the next couple of years just learning what that, let's call it executive management, looks like governance, if we want to use that word, of management and running things, because we know, Coffey has spent some time on player development, specifically. So he was a player for forever. So it's like he gets that side of it. But just some growth in area on the purely business ops, hockey ops side. I mean, that's going to be great experience for him. And it wouldn't surprise me if the long-term goal of Paul Coffey and possibly of the organization is to have him step in and take on a bigger role at some point. Now, this is just, kind of a ramping up, building the resume, as it were, building the skills, spending time developing to get to that point. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would be surprised if in a year or two, Paul Coffey takes on a bigger role. I mean, you're kind of priming him for that. And it's not like I've had a ton of interactions with Paul, just a couple at some various events. But my understanding is that I don't think there'd be a lot of people that would be disappointed in that, in him taking on a bigger role. Very, very well respected, not just from a career, but as an individual. And guys really like him. And if he it's not like we get to see the business acumen side and the management side, but if if he's shown some capacity in that and you're going to develop him, well, then yeah, he's going to take on a bigger role.
Gager, what do you think about that as a possible option down the road?
I like it just because of how Paul Coffey carries himself. He's great. He's very funny, very personable, and when he speaks, like, people listen. He still commands that respect of a former player. Every interaction I've had with Paul is awesome. I told that story about just being jacked that he knew my name, and actually he asked someone what my name was about 30 seconds earlier, but didn't matter. So, but no, I think it's a great move to have that experience of winning Stanley Cups even more prevalent in the organization. I think that's a big part of getting over that hump, so to speak, to winning a championship. The more people that you surround yourself that have done it before, I think in any business, previous success, I think, can only help your organization get to the place where you want to be.
All right, so that's the latest on Oilers management. Let's talk about Ryan McLeod, who gets a deal done. Cass managed to get a 2-year deal, just over $2 million. Didn't have to go through arbitration. Kind of a win-win here for everybody, I think.
Anytime you can avoid ARB, I think it generally ends up being a win-win. Now, for McLeod, he probably, I'm betting a sticking point for him was wanting a multi-year deal, where ARB is probably going to get one. Now, I think he probably would have got more money via arbitration, but he probably only would have got 1 year, and he would have looked at it then and said, well, depending on what happens during the year, you don't really know. You lose some of that certainty, and I think certainty is probably was the biggest sticking point for McLeod. I'm not unhappy with the number, guys. I thought it was fairly reasonable and fair. And year two, he gets a certainty of having a 2-year deal. Year two, if McLeod can take a step this year, it could be a decent valued contract for the Oilers in year two. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good deal all around. Pretty cost effective.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you guys say?
Oh no, I think it's like, Gager, what do you need from McLeod for him to be worth $2.1 million? Like, I think he needs to be a plus player and put up 30 to 35 points. Really, like.
I think replication of what he did in the playoffs, for sure, and even more so. But I think his mindset, and I said this before, his mindset is to come in and become one of the best third line centers in the league. And there's a lot of intangibles I think that are incorporated in that. That's shutting down, being able to play against the other team's top line, and even contributing a little bit and offensively against those top lines of other teams. He has to take a huge step this year, I think, on both sides of the puck. I like how he can carry the puck, how he can distribute it through the neutral zone. He's got great speed. I think that whole line can do some damage and kind of relieve the pressure of the first two lines being able to play more minutes to take away, especially in the early part of the season. But yeah, he's got to have a monster year for what he is in my mind, Dusty. I know you guys like the number, and I think the number is great next year. This year, it's I don't know. Just with the year he had last year with the injuries and the production, I think he made it like a bandit. Good for him.
Cass, I think when they traded for Bugstad last year, he might have become this guy. But isn't McLeod their most important bottom six player?
Yep, I think so.
Hey?
I think you want him to be this year. He should be this year. I mean, he should be the guy that is largely driving whatever line he's on, whether it be third line or fourth line. Like he should be driving it from a pace of play, carrying the puck through the neutral zone, generating some offense. I think an area of his game he has to take a big step forward in this year is defensive responsibility, and he's got to be the anchor, of that bottom six. Again, wherever he's playing, depending on what they're doing with the top two lines, and how you're trying to position different groups. Are McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line? Have you split them up? Like, what are you doing with your top two lines? He's a guy that I think you want to be able to call on regularly and with consistency. Similar to what you said. I mean, you had Bugstad that came in and stepped in and was able to play that role, where some nights he played more like a third line center, some nights a fourth line center, but he was always pretty consistent. Like he didn't have a lot of bad games. He was really, really steady out there, didn't make a lot of mistakes. And you need Ryan McLeod to really come into his own with that. Another area, from a defensive anchor, is you need him to continue to improve on his penalty killing. You want him to be able to eat up a lot more of those minutes to be a centerman that can take draws on the penalty kill.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and take some of that pressure off. Of having, the McDavids and Draisaitl's even have to be out on the penalty kill at all, ever. So yeah, I think it's, when I look at it, and really, when you look at anchors for your bottom six, the centermen they have to be. They're going to be the best players, or they need to be the best players in the bottom six. Heading into this season, McLeod has to be that guy. He has to. And really, again, I know, Gage, maybe you feel it's not quite worth it. I'm like, well, if you can have a guy come in just over $2 million and he can play, 14, 13 minutes a night and have a steady 13, 14 minutes a night, you're in good shape. Like the third line, fourth line don't have to score a ton of goals. They don't, but they need to be positive. Like they have to be plus lines in terms of production. You have to produce more than you give up. And he's going to be absolutely central to it. Needs to be.
Don't have a ton of cap space left. Where do you come out on almost giving all of it to Bouchard and running with a short roster again this season like you did last season?
Yeah.
I mean, they got away with it most of the year, right? Like it's...
Yeah, well... Yeah, I like what you said about McLeod. I'm still thinking about that, Cass. I'm looking crystal ball. I'm looking way into the future, that first round matchup against the Kings, and I look at them down the middle, and who's McLeod going to match up against in that lineup and outperform? That's what I'm looking way further ahead, and what that scenario is like, and how he can dominate. Draws are huge. Like, I love what you said. He's got it on the PK. The starting with the puck has got to be a huge focus for him this summer. Like, just killing it on draws, having the ability not to have Leon start out there with faceoffs in his own end and possibly having to spend more time on ice. It's can he do it? Yeah, I think he can, but I'm on the fence.
All right. Basically, a very busy Oilers. Gage, we get an update on your dog's nuts. Everything going to be okay, or?
Oh yeah, they're shiny.
Okay.
Trimmed it up a little bit. I got the manscaper, so all
Okay.
good down there. Got him on some pills and stuff. We're
You
all
just
set.
got to shave him once a week or something? Or?
Yeah, he's not licking him as much, so
No,
that's
that's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you could, you would, right?
Hey, before we wrap, I got 2 bags of chips I got. I'm staying on the club lounge of the hotel here. So I went up, ketchup or sour cream and onion? Look, I'm going to eat both. But if you only had one choice, which one would you do?
I go sour cream onion first, Dusty. I'm not a massive fan of ketchup, but I'll eat them. Great little Seth Rogen and Ice Cube little meme of them, Ice Cube trying the ketchup
Yeah,
chips.
I saw that pop up on TikTok or something
and
the other day. Yeah,
and he was saying how crazy it is, and Seth Rogen actually saying, yeah, how ridiculous to add potatoes with ketchup. It's a fried potato with ketchup. That just sounds ridiculous.
Cass, what are you going with? Oh, you're muted, Cass.
I am muted, and I'm leaning ketchup.
You are.
Now, I like sour cream and onion. I like it. It's good. For the Old Dutch brand in particular, I'm going ketchup here, guys. Now, if it was a different brand, I might go a different direction.
That's interesting.
But with Old Dutch, yeah, I'm hitting those ketchup. But let's be honest, everyone likes all dressed way more.
Not me. I don't mind all dressed, or as they said on Trailer Park Boys, the dressed all overs. But I think sour cream and onion is probably my favorite chip of all time. I even don't mind the sour cream and cheddars. Oldest is the sour cream
and cheddar is really
Those
good.
are pretty good, actually.
But that's different. If you held up sour cream and cheddar there, Dusty, I'm going sour cream and cheddar. So
yeah, no, I understand totally. All right, that's gonna do it.
I smell a chip draft.
You should do a chip draft.
Why do you think we're bringing the show back, boys?
Yes.
Come on.
Get me in on this.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of 2 Guys and a Goalie, now a part of Edmonton Sports Talk and a big part of it moving forward. If you haven't visited edmontonsportstalk.com yet, make sure you go check that out. Boys, we'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Later.